Hey, this is Rocket Brain Surgeon, and this is Purple Platoon commentary number 3. I have a pair of talented players at my side. I am in the Wheezy 1-4. They are both in T-54s. We are on Tundra. This is a Tier 10 game. Right now we're going to head to the east side. There's a valley on the 0 line that typically gets a lot of action, and it's a C-tank, shoot tank area, which I don't normally go to. However, this time in the Wheezy 1-4, this tank is very strong frontally, and due to the angles, it's capable of bouncing Tier 10 shots. My teammates mentioned that they want to go on top of the hill and snipe from the hill, and so they need somebody to kind of make sure that people don't break through the bottom. So I'm actually going to head over there and make sure a breakthrough doesn't happen. The Wheezy's turret can definitely stop anything that comes at it, aside from a hatch shot. The front, while definitely strong, it's not going to bounce every shot. It's not as strong as the front of an E75, but it does get the job done, and it will give you some surprising bounces now and then. There are a couple of snipers that sit in the back. This is relatively normal for this map. That makes my job a little bit more difficult simply because the gun doesn't have awesome snapshotting capabilities. It's kind of derpy in that respect. And so I actually make a mistake here and I pull out I get lucky when I make a mistake. The gun depression isn't quite enough there. This was one of my first experiences on this map, and I was probably a little bit too hasty. So here I go for kind of a side scrape. Even though it's a pike-shaped tank, I don't really want to get tracked there. And the armor is going to offer me enough protection to have this slow aim time work its way down. I pop one of the snipers going out. Right now I'm fulfilling a relatively useful role, and that is to kind of snipe with the snipers, make sure there's not a breakthrough. Just kind of my presence is overall good here for the moment. But if you look at the mini-map, the middle is somewhat in flux. I don't have a lot of good targets. I've gotten relatively lucky with a non-damage pen from the T-57, a derp shot by one of the snipers in the back, actually 2 derp shots, the second one missed me as well. So up until this point, I'm actually really not impressed with my play, and even in-game at the time I realized, you know what, I'm just not doing as much in this game that I could be doing. Exposing myself towards those back snipers is not where I want to be, but right now I'm just kind of struggling to find something useful to do. If I was in a slower tank, like an E100 or even an E75, I would have to stay here simply because by the time I got anywhere else, I wouldn't be useful. But in this tank, I really have no excuse. And it's good to look over your past play and say, you know what? I made a mistake here. I'm really not being useful. And the snipers have kind of gotten wise to my game. I take damage for the first time. And one of my platoon mates announces that, yep, we're not being as useful here as we could be elsewhere. If we look at all the targets on the map, there's a lot of flux, and we can use our mobility to better effect elsewhere. Now what's going to happen next is a very neat little idea. My platoon mate is going ahead of me. He rounds a corner and gets worked by a JT. He's tracked and in the water at 66%. He will not be able to move before the JT fires again, so I immediately jump in front of him to take the hit, and now I move away to allow him to finish it off. That's the type of tactical play that you want to include in your games. It required no communication between us. I jumped in front of my teammate to take the shot because I was at almost 100% and my teammate was at 60%. After getting hit by the JT a second time, he'd be down to 20% and in one-shot territory to a lot of tanks. This would significantly reduce his tactical ideas that he could carry out. And so I wanted to make sure, I'm basically lending him hit points there. And now I get in a little bit of trouble here with a 120 in front of me and an E100 behind me, so my platoon mate is actually going to return the favor. He tells me just to pull forward at this point, and he's still going to try and get the attention of the E-100. I actually think I am dead to rights here, but both tanks in front buy the bait, and they both go for my platoon mate, simply because each one figures the other one is going to finish me off. So I live a lot longer, and it's because my teammate immediately tries to repay the favor, and it works out spectacularly for both of us. If you know your teammate's worth it, use that tactical idea in your games. Hope you enjoyed. Happy hunting.